This is To Help You Heal, and I'm your host, Marie Monville. We are going to spend 10 minutes talking about healing. What kind of healing do you need? Is it in your mindset? Is it emotional healing? Is it spiritual healing? You know, there's a lot of healing that we all need, and this is where you're going to find it every week, 10 minutes on Tuesday. I'm so glad you're spending this time with me. This week, I want to talk about the theme for our life right now. What is the theme for your life right now? Do you have a theme? Maybe you're a word of the year person, and so you pick a word in January and you carry that word with you all year. Maybe you're not. Maybe you have a theme for your life right now. Maybe you don't. Let's talk about this. And this really comes from a dream that I had last night. I believe that God speaks to us through dreams, and He speaks to me often through dreams. Although I will say most of the time these dreams are not for me, they're usually for other people. But occasionally I'll have dreams for me, and I had one of those last night, and it really turned into this place of just this conversation today with the Lord, and then the emphasis for this podcast episode. So I had this dream that I went out on my back porch and there were 300 praying mantis eggs, 300 baby praying mantis. And I was so excited about this. And I came inside and I told my family that nobody was going out the back door because we had all these baby praying mantis out there and I didn't want any of them to get stepped on. And, you know, when I think about the interpretation of a dream, I'm not someone who always turns to a dream dictionary. I will for pieces, but not for all of it because I think the symbols that God uses to talk to us in our dreams have specific meanings for each person. For me, I love praying mantis. I love seeing them. I love finding them. It's kind of a joy for me. You know, if I'm sitting on my porch in the summer and there is a praying mantis, there was one a couple weeks ago on the porch. One of my kids and I, we found it, and it was just kind of fun to watch it out there. And really, I think this comes from my relationship with my dad. He loved praying mantis. He loved if he find a praying mantis nest. He was so good at identifying those. He passed away 12 years ago. And for me, you know, when I find a praying mantis, it's kind of this connection to my dad. So I think that's why a praying mantis for me has such significant meaning. But in the dream, I saw, you know, I knew that there were 300 of them. That's a lot. I don't even know what the normal, you know, amount is for a praying mantis laying eggs, but I would imagine it's not 300. I could be wrong. Anyway, so this morning when I woke up and I was thinking about this, you know, I was thinking about just the whole aspect of my dad and the significance of the praying mantis to me. But then I really turned to this place of saying, okay, God, what are you saying through this dream? And so I did, you know, do a little Google search on what does a praying mantis signify? And of course, you know, it carries a spiritual connotation. It's that place of prayer, the aspect of religious faith. It can mean that. It can also mean courage and persistence. And when I read that piece about courage and persistence, I really felt the Lord say to me, Marie, don't give up. And I can't say that there's any specific place in my life where I felt like giving up. You know, there's nothing really that's at that critical level for me that I would even feel like giving up. But I love that God comes and gives us something even before we know we need it. I don't doubt that there's, you know, this place that maybe I would have gotten to today. Maybe it's coming in a couple days in a week. I don't know where I would have been tempted to give up, or even just that my perspective would have been different. But wow, feeling that nudge from the Lord today of Marie, don't give up. It's really prompted me to think about my life and, you know, things that are going on in my life right now and ask myself, are there places where I didn't even realize that I'm going towards the edge of giving up? And so, you know, for me, this aspect of dreams, it's the love of God, his care in our everyday life, that he steps into these moments right where we are, and he gives us a nugget that we get to carry with us. But I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into this and really understand, the aspect of 300. God, what are you saying to me about the 300? And so when I think about where does the number 300 show up in the Bible, one of the places that we see it is in Gideon. In Judges chapter 6 through 8, we see this story about how God told Gideon to choose 300 men to defeat the Midianites. And Gideon's army was 32,000 to begin with. It would have seemed illogical to take all 32,000 men to defeat the Midianites, but God tells him to take 300. And so, here we have this man who's leading these troops to fight the enemy, and God tells him to take less than what he thinks he needs. And Gideon was somebody from a small tribe, somebody who didn't see himself as significant, a leader like that necessarily. And I think we can all relate to that, right? These places in our lives where God has called us to, that we maybe feel like we don't have enough of something, or we're not prepared, or we're the least likely to. And yet, in his love and in his mercy and his kindness, in his wisdom, he asks us to use what we have that doesn't seem like enough to us, because he's in it and he knows that it's more than enough. So here I have this praying mantis, 300 baby praying mantis, and the concept of, Gideon reducing his troops and taking 300 out of 32,000, and the Lord saying to me, Marie, don't give up. That was pretty powerful for me. This powerful moment of the intertwining of my joy at seeing a praying mantis with the story of Gideon and the words from the Lord. So that's the theme for my life right now. I didn't know I needed, but apparently God knew. He knew that I needed that. He knew that I needed to hear him say, don't give up. And that the journey of discovering the meaning behind the dream would lead me to this place where I could hear his voice just like that. So, what's the theme for your life right now? And maybe you want to take my theme. Maybe you need it too. That's why I'm sharing it with you. Because if this has resonated with you, if you felt this place of saying, yes, I really need to hear God tell me not to give up, I want you to know that this is for you too. I was speaking at a women's event just a few days ago, and I said, one of the really beautiful things about what God does in our life is that it is for us, but it's so much more than that. It's for so many more people than that. What he does for us, but he does it for us so that we can then share it with others. So I'm sharing this with you. And if you, friend, are in a place where you needed to hear those words, and maybe you didn't even know you needed to hear them until I spoke them, I want you to know that they're for you. I don't want you to give up. And maybe you want to take some time and read through Judges chapters 6 through 8, find out more about Gideon's story, how God asked him, why God asked him to take the 32,000 and whittle them down to 300. Do you want to know how he did that? They were at like this brook, this river, drinking water, and God told him to take the ones that lapped the water up like a dog. Crazy, right? That's how he selected the 300. And those were the 300 that he needed, and God knew it. Even though it wouldn't look to human eyes, it wouldn't seem sensible or reasonable, logical to only take 300 when you have this group of 32,000. God knew that that was all he needed, and God was in it. So it seemed like more than that to the Midianites. That's the thing about God's amazing grace in our life. What seems like a little to us is more than enough when He's in it. And so, friend, what is your theme? Maybe your theme is not don't give up. Maybe that's not relevant for you right now. But I want you to think about what it is. What is God speaking to you? What do you feel like He's saying in this season? What's the encouragement that you need from Him? And if you haven't connected in that place with God for a while, if you're saying to yourself, you know what, I just need to hear something from the Lord, then this is your invitation. This is the opportunity to do just that, to carve out some time. Maybe go on a walk on a path. I love doing that. Maybe you want to sit by the beach and let the waves just wash over your feet. Maybe you want to sit in a coffee shop and watch people. Maybe that's where you connect with God. Maybe you do it best in church, in times of prayer and worship. Maybe for you, it's in your car. Whatever your moment is, wherever the place is that you love to meet with God, that you can find his voice, go there. Let him speak to you. Ask him what it is. And if you're someone who dreams, and you haven't thought about it before that God is speaking to you, or maybe you needed, just a little bit of insight into that, I want to encourage you to believe that He is speaking to you in your dreams and to unfold what that is and what the meaning is for you. Start by asking yourself, what do those items represent to you? Not necessarily from some dream dictionary, but is there a starting point of relevance for you? And then take it a little bit deeper. If you have a dream that you can't figure out and you'd love some help with it, send it to me. I would love to give you whatever impression the Lord lays on my heart as I read it, or if you send me an audio message as I listen to it. But I want to encourage you to spend some time this week thinking about what God's saying to you, what the theme is for your life right now, and then getting ready to go after that with the Lord. I know that I just feel so blessed and encouraged and somewhat ready to see what he has for me. I'll say it. I'm a little bit hesitant hearing him say don't give up. But it's a good thing. I want to see what he has in that. I don't want to miss anything that he has for me, and I certainly would not want to give up on the plans and the beauty that he has on the horizon. I hope that this episode has encouraged you, and as always, come back next week and we'll continue the conversation.